Sleep Number is the top provider of adjustable air mattresses. Traditional mattresses utilize metal springs, whereas these mattresses utilize air chambers that allow you to adjust the firmness settings on a scale from 0 to 100. It's pretty cool and can be particularly beneficial if you have a partner who prefers a significantly different firmness setting. That is the main idea behind the business, but over the years it has evolved into maybe the most advanced sleep technology company. Actually, they identify themselves as a wellness technology company that has improved the lives of millions of people. As they put it, backed by almost 40 years of innovation, 1,000 plus patents and patents pending, and billions of hours of sleep data, Sleep Number has helped more than 16 million people achieve their best sleep. They have an operating system called Sleep IQ that uses built-in sensors to track biometric sleep data. Honestly, there is some impressive stuff happening over at Sleep Number. They are selling beds with features that you may not have realized were even possible. If you are having issues related to sleep and are willing to dedicate some time and money into it, this might be an option worth investigating. But just to be safe, you might not want to wait too long to do it because it is unclear how much longer Sleep Number will be around. I am not exaggerating when I say that things are looking bad right now. In their latest annual report, they included statements saying there is substantial doubt about the company's ability to continue as a going concern, and that they may be forced to shut down or file for bankruptcy or something along those lines. They reported only $1.7 million in cash, which might prove to be an issue considering they currently owe more than $500 million in long-term debt. Over the past 5 years is where the issues have really been happening. Their sales have been falling consistently, along with their net income that actually turned into net losses in 2023. In fact, 2025 marked the biggest net loss that Sleep Number has ever experienced. Over that time, the company lost 98% of its value, representing almost $3 billion. In 2025, their CEO of 12 years left the company and was replaced by Linda Findley, who was likely chosen based on her turnaround efforts as the head of Blue Apron for the previous 5 years. Maybe not the best sign that after a few months, she remarked that there were more challenges than I expected, which required us to move extremely fast to fix the business. Yeah, as you may have gathered, Sleep Number has been in panic mode, closing stores, laying off employees, and just cutting costs wherever practical. They recently revealed $185 million in annualized cost savings, with an additional $50 million predicted for the next year, but there is a long way to go still. She even acknowledged that we are still in full turnaround mode, and our progress in 2025 doesn't change the fact that we still have hurdles to clear in 2026. I would have to completely agree with that statement, and I hope that you will agree that this is a fascinating story unraveling right before our eyes. So in this video, I want to talk about the history of Sleep Number while identifying some of the main reasons behind these recent struggles. Sleep Number was started by Bob Walker alongside his wife Joanne in Minneapolis, Minnesota in 1987. It was at a time when spring mattresses dominated the industry way more than they do today, and adjustable air mattresses were almost completely unheard of. Most people envisioned air mattresses as uncomfortable, temporary beds that you would use for camping or maybe when a guest is staying over. A competitor named Comfort Air is credited with originating this specific type of air mattress 7 years earlier, but almost nobody was interested in it. Both companies were really trying to overcome that perception by emphasizing how comfortable they were. I mean, one company was called Comfort Air, and Sleep Number's original name for the first 30 years was Select Comfort. Especially considering they were priced considerably higher than most other mattresses on the market, neither company accomplished very much throughout the 1980s. I also theorized that founder Bob Walker may not have been the best businessman because shortly after he sold the majority of it to a group of venture capital firms in 1991 is when Sleep Number mattresses finally started gaining traction. See, the new owners veered away from Bob Walker's strategy of trying to sell them at existing mattress or furniture stores where they were mostly overlooked and started establishing their own displays where they would be tested and opening their own retail locations. Being from Minneapolis, they were able to take advantage of the newly opened Mall of America nearby where they opened a showroom. By the middle of the 1990s, Select Comfort Comfort was considered one of the fastest growing companies in the country, and by the end of that decade, they were a public company with over 300 retail locations and a deal in place with Bed Bath & Beyond to start opening select comfort departments inside of their stores. By 2002, they were becoming a household name, consistently turning a profit and raising their sales just about every year. In 2013, I think it is worth noting that Select Comfort acquired Comfort Air, who at the time was reported as their largest competitor and the second largest adjustable airbed company, which I guess was technically true. But they were still significantly smaller than Select Comfort. They had $10 million in sales the previous year compared to over $900 million. So when it comes to that very specific market of adjustable airbeds, I think it is safe to say that Select Comfort/Sleep Number is the only company that has ever made a significant impact. I also feel like I should take a second to follow up on Bob Walker. I called him a bad businessman a minute ago. Well, about a decade after leaving Select Comfort, he started a new company called Bixby Energy Systems. They specialized in alternative energy. Specifically, they made some kind of a stove that would heat your home using corn. Well, to keep it short, he defrauded the investors of that company out of millions of dollars. In 2014, he was found guilty of mail fraud, wire fraud, witness tampering, and tax evasion, and sentenced to 25 years in prison. However, it looks like he was released during the pandemic because of his age and health conditions. Like I said, there's a lot going on with this story, but getting back on track. Around 2017, it feels like Select Comfort really started pushing down on that accelerator. That was the year they introduced the 360 Smart Bed, the first commercialized smart bed to provide sleepers effortless comfort and personalized insights about their sleep health and habits. Basically, it had all these revolutionary features that helped it become much more of an advanced technology company. Later in the year, potentially overdue, Select Comfort officially changed their name to Sleep Number to have a more consistent brand identity. Only a few months later, they made a deal to become the official sleep and wellness partner of the NFL. Today, they claim that over 80% of NFL players have a Sleep Number smart bed. Trust me when I say that this proved to be an exceptional time to push on that accelerator, because during the pandemic in 2020, people were buying mattresses like crazy, along with other pieces of furniture. Everyone was stuck at home spending a lot more time in bed, so investing money into their living space made perfect sense. And Sleep Number is practically a luxury brand that could cost 10 times more than a traditional mattress, so when you're looking for a really nice mattress, like in times like that, well, Sleep Number is among the nicest out there. In 2021, sales and income both reached record highs for the company, and everyone was feeling pretty good about the future of Sleep Number. Believe it or not, $100 invested at the start of 2016 would have grown to almost $400 by 2021, far outperforming the rest of the market. In short, Sleep Number was in a perfect position to benefit from the pandemic, but then, well, you might see where this is going. In the years following the pandemic, furniture sales, including mattresses, have really struggled. Part of that has to do with interest rates and a slowdown in the housing market. Fewer houses being sold means less of a demand for new furniture. Part of it has to do with inflation and slower consumer spending because, well, when money is tight, you are going to be more reluctant to replace your old mattress, right? And you are certainly not going to replace it with a luxurious new one that can cost as much as $10,000. However, I want to mention that as part of their turnaround efforts in January of 2026, they released a much more reasonably priced option under $1,600 called Comfort Mode, and the CEO has said that the sales of it exceeded their expectations by 3.5 times. And another part of the lower demand has to do with the fact that so many people bought their new mattress when they were stuck at home, and now they are set, especially if it was a Sleep Number. I mean, some of the parts might have to be replaced, but they claim that Sleep Number mattresses are designed to last 25 years or more. So now, the mattress market has become ultra competitive, with many of the smaller providers shutting down or filing for bankruptcy, while the larger ones have been forced to find new ways to compete. It is becoming survival of the fittest out there. For example, the $5 billion merger between Mattress Firm and Tempur-Sealy, joining together the production and retail end under one company in a big way, which, if you remember, is precisely what Sleep Number has been doing since very early on. So overall, that anxious rise, followed by a terrifying fall that happens at the start of a roller coaster, is a perfect metaphor for the mattress industry over the past few years. And Sleep Number specifically was arguably in a position to rise and fall more than most of the others. But there is yet another layer to this that has made Sleep Number's situation so much worse. Historically, Sleep Number has held very low levels of long-term debt until 2018, when they started borrowing a lot of money, and they have continued to borrow more money every year since, with interest expense approaching $50 million, making it even more difficult to turn a profit. In fact, 2023 and 2024 would have otherwise been profitable. And obviously, the whole reason anyone even considers bankruptcy is because they cannot keep up with their debt, so this has been a major factor behind their recent issues. So logically, we have to ask, all this money that they have been borrowing, where has it been going? And unfortunately, the answer is that a lot of it has been going towards stock buybacks. Without getting too lost in the finances of it, Sleep Number has spent over $1.5 billion repurchasing their own stock, all of it at prices significantly higher than it is now. For example, the worst of it is in 2021, when they spent over $380 million to buy Sleep Number stock back when it was trading at over $100 per share for a lot of that year. And if you remember, it is currently trading at, well, significantly less than that, so these have been really bad investments. While their core business operations have been struggling, this right here has further complicated their financial situation behind the scenes, to a point where it looks like they may not be able to survive it. Let me know in the comments, what are your thoughts about Sleep Number concerning the beds and concerning the company? I would say that they are responsible for some impressive technology, but you have to stop and wonder if a lot of it is truly necessary and worth the investment. So I want to ask, for anyone who has owned a Sleep Number bed, what has your experience been like, and are you surprised at the current state of the company? Also, I have to ask, what does everyone see for the future? Will they recover from this situation, and what do they need to do to make it happen? And any other thoughts you have about Sleep Number or anything else in this video, leave them in the comments. I'd like to hear what you have to say. Thank you for watching.